So I was brain rotting a couple days ago, and I actually came across this quote that says, "Everywhere you go, there you are." And I feel like this really resonated with me because no matter the situation you're in or place that you're going to or are in, the same weight that you carried in one place is just going to end up transitioning into the other. And under this quote, I read someone say that no matter where you go physically, there you are mentally, creating similar circumstances to the ones that you were trying to run away from in the first place. It made me realize that almost everybody thinks that, changing your city, your school, your job will feel like that it will end up fixing some sort of hole that you're trying to fill, which just simply isn't the case, and that these same feelings will follow you regardless of the situation or place or thing that you're trying to replace. And that unless we directly attack these habits and make a change, they will follow us wherever we go, inherently. And I don't mean that in a depressing way, like, quote unquote, you're stuck. I mean it more like if it keeps showing up, it's probably a pattern and not a place, right? And because a lot of the time what follows us isn't in our city, it's how we respond when we're stressed. It's how we handle loneliness. It's how we avoid things or people or overwork or overthink. You can move and still find yourself in the same situation. You meet the same type of friends. You end up with the same burnout, just in a different setting, right? And I think the real question becomes, what am I doing automatically that keeps recreating these situations? For me, a helpful way to ask yourself is to just be like, when I feel X, I usually do X. You know, when I feel overwhelmed, I start doing, you know, I start avoiding things. Or when I feel uncomfortable, I distract myself from the situation, right? And once you can name it, you can actually change it. Not by doing some huge life reset, but by making one small choice that, in the moment you notice the pattern starting, right? Because the goal isn't to run to a new place and hope you become a new person. The goal is to become the kind of person who can be okay anywhere and do and be themselves authentically anywhere, because you're not abandoning yourself anymore. And I think this is the part that people don't want to hear, right? Sometimes the reason things keep repeating is because we keep avoiding the exact lesson that we need to learn. Say, for example, imagine you're in your messy room and you're like, yeah, like I need a new room, like there's stuff everywhere. So you move rooms, you get a new space, new vibe, like everything just completely different. Say you move from a house to an apartment, right? But you end up bringing the same habits. You don't put your stuff away, you don't deal with all the mess on the ground, and you avoid cleaning it up again. And slowly this new room becomes the same mess that you were just living in. That's what happens when we end up trying to change our situation without changing what's actually going on internally. Because the new school, the new city, the new job, the new relationship, same patterns follow us regardless of how we make change. Because the pattern isn't the place, the pattern is the way we cope with the situation. And facing yourself doesn't mean blaming yourself, right? It means just being honest and asking yourself, what am I doing that keeps leading me here? What am I avoiding? Why am I scared? What will happen if I slow down and actually deal with the problem? Because avoiding things works in the short term, right? It gives you relief. It makes you less scared, but in the long term, it costs you your peace, right? You end up stuck in this situation, and you feel stuck in your own head. So the real improvement in your life isn't a new environment. It's the moment that you actually catch yourself in the midst of these patterns and choose to act differently. Take, for example, the messy room. You open your door and you look down and you see all the dirty clothes on the ground. Instead of just going and looking for the thing that you were looking for when you entered the room, you sit there and you're like, wow, my floor is dirty. I'm going to take 5 minutes here and I'm going to clean it up. Because realistically, that's how long it usually takes. Sometimes it's just enough where there's clothes on the floor and all it takes is some folding, right? That's the moment where you take action and you stop running away. And it's not with some huge change in your life. It's just small moments of honesty that add up. And this doesn't mean that your environment doesn't matter. if you're being bullied at school, getting out of that situation absolutely helps, right? Nobody wants to be bullied. And once you get out of that situation and you're actually treated with respect, that will change things for you. So when I say everywhere you go, there you are, I don't mean you can't improve your life by changing your surroundings. I just mean you can't outrun yourself. If you don't deal with what's happening inside, like avoiding things, fear, procrastination, it'll end up showing up in the next room, the next school, the next friend group, or the next place that you go to.